Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt like you're holding back? Like maybe there's more in you than you're actually putting out there?
Yeah, that feeling. It connects to this idea Goggins talks about,
Yeah,
that when your mind says, I'm done, you're really only at about 40% of what you can truly handle.
exactly. And our deep dive today is all about unlocking that untapped potential. We're plunging into a really fascinating and frankly incredibly raw book. Can't Hurt Me: Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds by David Goggins.
What's so striking here is how Goggins basically argues that most of us, we're just living these comfortable, kind of soft lives. We're not really aware of our true capacity.
Right.
And he really challenges this whole idea of motivation being enough. He sees it as just temporary.
Hmm.
He argues for a complete rewiring of your brain. He even says motivation changes exactly nobody.
Huh. Strong words.
Definitely. So our mission with this deep dive is really to distill that core philosophy. Look at the remarkable journey that forged this guy, the hardest man God ever created, as he puts it.
Right, his phrase.
Yeah. And understand how you, listening now, can maybe apply some of these insights. How you can unshackle your own mind and push past what you thought were your limits.
And this isn't about getting motivated for a day, is it? It's about something much deeper, like a lasting transformation. Goggins seems to have found this path to self-mastery, arguing you can face reality, push through pain, and live to your absolute fullest potential.
Exactly. So we'll be extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge from his own extraordinary life. His experiences. It's kind of a shortcut, really, to getting informed about this path to self-mastery.
That's a powerful promise. But Goggins' story, it's not one of, innate talent or growing up with privilege, is it?
Not at all. It actually starts in a childhood marked by really immense trauma. We have to go back to Williamsville, New York. Yeah. On the surface, things looked okay, maybe even good.
Appearances were deceiving, you mean? Like the house on Paradise Road, the fancy cars, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes.
Precisely. All masking this brutal reality inside. His father, Trunis Goggins, seemed like a successful businessman, owned a roller rink, skateland, and a bar. But he was also involved in crime, like running prostitutes across the border. And
Wow.
David's mother, Jackie, much younger, was sort of caught in his charm, but living in what Goggins calls a permanent state of denial amidst constant abuse.
And young David was right in the middle of it.
Absolutely. From age 6 or 7, he was forced to work long hours at Skateland, organizing skates, polishing floors, always under his father's harsh eye. He remembers the awful smell, the permanently bloodshot eyes. It was constant fear and control, not a childhood.
That sounds just awful. And when did that facade really break down for him?
It shattered when he directly witnessed his father's violence against his mother. The abuse just got worse and worse. And get this, at 6 years old, David slept with a loaded gun under his pillow.
6 years old.
6. He talks about this one moment where his hatred for what his father was doing actually overcame his fear, and he jumped on his father's back, trying to stop him from beating his mother.
Incredible bravery for a child. Did anyone help the police?
The police were called, yeah, but they basically dismissed his mother's injuries as domestic discipline. It was just accepted. So the violence continued. David learned to cope by making himself invisible, averting his eyes, almost floating outside his body during the beatings.
Just trying to survive it mentally.
Exactly. And there's this one pivotal moment he describes. His father lost thousands gambling and took it out on David with a brutal, prolonged beating, left welts from his neck to his knees. But David, even then, refused to cry. He wouldn't give his father the satisfaction.
Wow, that resilience, even then.
It's there, yeah. His mother was so traumatized she considered suicide. But it was her courage, actually risking another beating to take David to the ER for a severe ear infection that saved his hearing. And soon after that, she managed to escape with the boys, fleeing to Brazil, Indiana, with basically nothing.
So they escape, but then how does that kind of foundation, all that trauma, how does it impact a kid trying to navigate school, trying to figure out who he is?
Well, it had a massive impact, especially at first. Academically, he really struggled. He had to repeat second grade. And add to that, he was the only black kid in his class. In the whole school sometimes, he felt like the dumbest kid there.
That's a heavy burden.
Immense. The stress and anxiety were so bad, he actually developed a stutter almost overnight. And his way of coping with the academic pressure, he started cheating, just copying work, which, as he realized later, meant he wasn't actually learning anything.
Just surviving moment to moment.
Right. And Brazil, Indiana wasn't exactly a safe haven either. He encountered just pervasive prejudice, constant racism, everything from subtle stuff to overt threats and violence. It just reinforced that feeling of being an outsider.
Some more adversity.
Yeah. He admits his wild hairdos and antics back then weren't some kind of statement for racial justice. It was more a reaction to the hate, just trying to find some kind of identity, however shallow. And then more laws piled on. A man named Wilmoth, who would become a positive father figure, a mentor, was murdered, shot 5 times. David was only 14. And he saw the crime scene, saw Wilmoth's blood pooled on the floor. He also witnessed a horrific bus accident where a little 6-year-old boy was killed.
Just unimaginable trauma piling up.
It really is. These things, while just crushing, seem to have forced him into this deeper place, even if he wasn't aware of it then. Searching for meaning, maybe?
Okay, so here's where things start to shift, right? After all this drifting, feeling lost, doing poorly in school, he hits this real turning point, gets cut from varsity basketball, feels disgusted with himself, and this leads to something he calls the accountability mirror.
That's it. And interestingly, part of the catalyst was hearing the story of pararescueman Scott Guerin. This guy survived a catastrophic parachute malfunction, crashed at insane speed, was told he'd never walk again, but fought back and returned to duty.
So seeing someone else defy impossible odds.
Exactly. For Goggins, who felt like he was just, free falling with no chute, dealing with racist taunts all the time, Guerin was living proof you could overcome seemingly anything. That spark, plus hitting absolute rock bottom, kicked out by his mom, broke, failing school, were forced a reckoning.
And that happened in front of a mirror.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Post-shower, just looking at himself disgusted, he saw a low-budget thug with no purpose and no future. And right there, the accountability mirror concept was born. He started this ritual, shaving his head and speaking brutal truths to himself.
Like what?
Things like, nobody is coming to save you, it's on you. It wasn't about making himself feel good. It was about initiating wholesale, drastic change. He started forcing himself to crave discomfort, running in bad weather, deliberately choosing the harder path.
Brainwashing himself, basically.
That's the word he uses.
Yeah.
And he argues anyone can use this. Face your reality brutally, honestly, no illusions. That's the first step.
Okay, so he's got this new mindset. How did he apply that to the academic mess he was in?
With that same brutal honesty and just relentless work. He had a 4th grade reading level then, found a tutor, developed his own system, read a textbook page, then write it down meticulously 2 or 3 times. 6 hours of review for every 1 hour of tutoring.
Wow, that's intense dedication.
Totally. And it worked. He went from that 4th grade level to a high school senior level in just 6 months. And then on his 3rd attempt, he passed the ASVAB, the military entrance test.
Incredible turnaround. It really shows what happens when you combine that radical self-honesty with just sheer hard work.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the next phase.
Yeah.
Because this transformation leads him from working a dead-end job, weighing nearly 300 pounds.
The cockroach sniper job, right, for Ecolab.
That's the one. From that, feeling totally numb like a zombie selling his time on Earth, to deciding he wants to become a Navy SEAL, one of the most elite forces on the planet.
What sparked that specific goal?
He saw a TV show about BDS Hell Week, watched these guys sweat and suffer, saw them ring the bell and quit, and instead of being repelled, he felt jealous. He somehow felt there were answers buried in all that suffering.
Jealous of the suffering. That's a Goggins thing right there.
It really is. So he decides Navy SEALs it is.
Yeah.
Despite being 297 pounds, way over the 191-pound limit for his height. He finds a recruiter, Petty Officer Stephen Shaljo, who actually saw his drive and gave him a shot.
So he had a chance, but a huge mountain to climb. How did he tackle the weight and the academics needed?
He just created his own insane training regimen. Woke up at 4:30 a.m., studied for the ASVAB, then hours of cardio, stationary bike, swimming, then a gym circuit like huge rep counts, 100, 200 reps per set, then more biking, all on almost no fuel.
Just punishing himself.
He even talks about depression being a side effect, but he used it, flipped it, saw it as proof he was back on a mission. He lost over 80 pounds, got his ASVAB score up to 65, pure, raw willpower.
And then came BUDS. Hell Week. He actually went through it twice, right? Because of an injury.
Yeah, and he describes it as medieval, 130 hours straight, non-stop physical and mental torture designed purely to break you. Instructors like Psycho Pete just reveled in making them suffer. Freezing water hoses, endless surf torture, standing in the Coles Ocean until you're hypothermic.
And constant mind games, trying to get them to quit.
Oh, yeah. Offering hot soup, blankets, a warm ride home, anything to tempt them to ring that bell. And it was in this environment that Goggins developed his concept of taking souls.
Taking souls. Okay, what does that mean?
It's this This intense mind game he played on himself. He decided to use the suffering of others, or maybe more accurately, the instructor's desire to break him as his own fuel.
Yeah.
He saw their attempts to break him as their weakness, and he transformed all that negativity into, like, jet fuel.
Turning their pressure back on them
Right?
mentally.
Exactly. He'd even hum the theme from Platoon, Adagio for strings, just to mess with the instructors and fire up his boat crew, finding humor, finding defiance in the absolute worst moments.
Even when things got really bad, like vomiting blood, chafing.
Yeah, he talks about vomiting blood while carrying the log, skin rubbed raw, oozing pus and blood, guys becoming mentally zombies. But he always forced himself back in the mix. He even got singled out for extra surf torture and just savored it, hummed louder, felt unbreakable.
But he wasn't literally unbreakable because injury did take him out the first time.
Right. And there was another moment, a terrifying open water swim during a storm. Hypothermic, scared of water, flailing. Another trainee had to pull him in. But even then, Goggins refused to show weakness. He just grit his teeth and told himself, that's how you lead from the front. He ultimately finished Hell Week the second time around at the top of his class, utterly transformed.
So this whole incredible journey, it really seems to boil down to a couple of core Goggins concepts, doesn't it? Like the 40% rule you mentioned and something he calls the cookie jar.
Absolutely. The 40% rule, again, is that idea that when your mind is screaming stop,
Yeah.
you're actually only at 40% of your real capacity. Your
Yeah.
brain has this governor on it, trying to keep you safe and comfortable.
And the cookie jar.
The cookie jar is brilliant, really. It's a mental place where you store all your past victories. Every time you overcame something tough, every obstacle you push through. When you're in pain, when you're doubting yourself, Goggins says you mentally dunk your fist in, pull out a cookie, and remind yourself of what you've already accomplished. You leverage that past success for present strength.
That's powerful. Using your own history as fuel. How does that apply to you, the listener?
It means recognizing that the limits you think you have are often just mental barriers. And your past successes, even small ones, aren't just history. They're fuel you can use right now for whatever challenge you're facing.
And Goggins applied these ideas relentlessly, especially in ultramarathons, right? Often with almost zero specific training for them.
Oh yeah. Take the San Diego one-day race. 100 miles in 24 hours. He signed up just 3 days before, fueled by Ritz crackers and donuts, basically, to raise money for the families of fallen SEAL teammates from Operation Red Wings.
So connecting his suffering to something bigger than himself.
Exactly. And the pain was unbelievable. Quads seizing up, feet bleeding, shin splints turning to stress fractures. He talks about running across the sky because the physical reality was just too much to process. His wife, Kate, was his crew chief, managing his collapse.
And he finished.
He finished 100 miles in under 19 hours. 5th place, despite blacking out, peeing blood, horrible blisters, dangling toenails, just absolute physical destruction. But he finished.
Unbelievable. And that wasn't a one-off, was it?
Not at all. He did the Hurt 100 and Oahu 100 miles with massive elevation gain. Again, undertrained, equipment issues, finished in 33 hours, carried away in a wheelchair. Then he got into Badwater 135.
The Death Valley race, one of the toughest in the world.
That's the one. This time, though, he prepared meticulously. Researched everything, the course, temperature, elevation, other runners. He learned to stifle the quitting mind before it gained any traction. Used that cookie jar constantly to feel immune to suffering. He finished Badwater in 5th place, too. For him, it wasn't about being the best athlete. It was about winning the mental battle.
Which shows that preparation plus that mental fortitude, that's the killer combo.
Precisely. And this relentless drive leads us to another key Goggins idea, being uncommon amongst uncommon.
Okay, what's that about? It sounds intense.
It is. It's the idea that reaching a high level of success, like becoming a SEAL, isn't the finish line. It's actually a new starting line. It means you now have to push even harder to stand out, even among the elite.
Never being satisfied, basically.
Never. And a major life event really reinforced this for him, discovering he had a heart condition, an atrial septal defect, basically a hole in his heart.
Wow, after all that.
Yeah. It explains so much, the lifelong fatigue, getting sick easily. Doctors were amazed he'd done anything he'd done, let alone SEAL training and ultras. He was essentially running on a tank perpetually half full, getting only half the oxygen he needed.
So what did he do? Did that finally make him slow down?
You'd think, right? He had 2 heart surgeries, both botched initially. The first time, the anesthesia didn't fully take. The Navy wanted him to take medical retirement. But Goggins, he refused to be a victim. He used the recovery time to perfect recruitment presentations for the SEALs.
Just relentless.
Totally. Then he went back to Army Ranger School as the only Navy guy in a huge class, stripped of his rank starting from zero again. But he immediately stood out, memorized the Ranger Creed perfectly, became first sergeant. He embraced that start at zero mindset. Whatever you achieved yesterday doesn't matter today. Your refrigerator's never full.
Always hungry for the next challenge.
Always. This uncommon amongst uncommon drive pushed him through Delta Force Selection 2, another incredibly tough course. He smashed an 18-mile march record, even though people told him not to go so hard. He became known as this relentless force, the Black Daniel Boone, he calls himself.
Even an ankle injury during selection didn't stop him.
Nope. He hobbled to the finish, his effort was noted, and he was invited back.
Oh,
His commanding officer apparently said something like, "You're the type of guy who wishes you were a POW, just to see if you have what it takes to last."
that sums him up pretty well. And this same drive applied to the pull-up world record attempt, too.
Absolutely. He aimed for 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. He'd failed before, so he prepared meticulously this time. Learned from every single mistake using an after-action report. During the attempt, his body broke down horribly, hands blistered raw, muscles breaking down dangerously, rhabdomyolysis.
How did he push through that?
Mind games again. He used anger as fuel, imagining the previous record holder as this evil genius torturing him. Not envy, but a way to channel negativity. And he did it. 4,030 pull-ups. It just highlights his core belief. It's not talent, it's an addiction to hard work and constant self-mastery.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway here? David Goggins' story is just, it's an incredible testament to transformation, isn't it? He didn't just overcome adversity. He learned how to use it, to callous his mind, as he says.
Indeed. His story really challenges all of us, doesn't it? To look at our own perceived limits and question them. He forces us to see that pain, discomfort, they aren't just things to avoid. They can actually unlock doors to peak performance, maybe even a strange kind of inner peace.
It's a journey demanding just relentless discipline.
And unwavering commitment. Goggins talks about getting nose to concrete with your own limits, pushing past barriers you didn't even know were there, becoming that one warrior he believes is inside everyone.
Yeah, he really embodies that idea that you don't need special talent. What you need is that addiction to hard work, the guts to face yourself in that accountability mirror, and the wisdom to reach into that cookie jar when things get tough. The final message for you listening seems pretty clear. If a guy with a literal hole in his heart can run ultras on broken legs, what excuse do you have?
And maybe consider this final thought, this what if that Goggins poses. What if your deepest insecurities, your past traumas? What if they aren't burdens? What if they're actually the raw fuel for your greatest triumphs? What if that comfort zone you cling to is actually the most dangerous place you could possibly be?
That is definitely a lot to mull over. We really hope this deep dive into Can't Hurt Me has given you some powerful insights, maybe sparked something about what's truly possible when you decide to take control. Until next time, keep digging deeper.